afternoon. I'm Chief Deputy Jennifer Gabbert with Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming today and for your patience as this investigation has progressed. We are going to have statements from Sheriff Waybourn and from Regional Director Jeremy Sherrod with DPS, and we're going to show you a video and we'll take questions at the end. Sheriff Waybourn.
Thank you. Well, once again, thank you for being here. I want to just bring you up to date. The last time that we gathered here and talked about this, there was a couple of promises that were made and they were kept. One, just a little bit ago, the DA's office showed the family the tape that you will see. And that was one of the promises made. And we have got that done. And also, as the Rangers took the lead, we did not want to interfere with that investigation until they have finished all interviews. That happened yesterday morning when those interviews were complete. Early on in the investigation, just a few days after the incident, we realized that there might be some issues with what we were seeing on video. And when we saw that, we immediately took action and suspended 2 of our team members. But we also, in those cases, do never want to rush an investigation. We wanted to substantiate what we had seen to make sure. That substantiation took place yesterday morning at 9:45 or 10 o'clock when that last interview was done. Then we had all of our facts and we were able to take action. At that time that action was taken is that we terminated 2 people from the agency. And you will see on tape, or excuse me, video here in a little bit, that why that action was. We wanted to be transparent as we possibly could, but we also wanted to protect the investigation. When investigations are going on, especially like this, law enforcement takes serious use of force when people are seriously injured or possibly died. We take it very serious. But those traumatic situations, time after time that they happen, is almost like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle blown into air, and somebody, mostly a skillful investigator, has got to pull those pieces back and put them together. Because what you see at an angle of a camera is not necessarily so until you can confirm it. And those things is what was being done over the last couple of weeks. And because of that, the 2 team members that were terminated was one, Officer Marino, Rafael Marino, and he was using a technique that, number 1, he was not trained to do, and number 2, that we do not tolerate nor do we want done. The second one was Lieutenant Joe Garcia. Lieutenant Garcia was terminated on the basis that not only was he there, he was in charge and he was allowing this to occur. He also did not respond to the urgency of the situation. He was not urgent in carrying out his duties, and that had a detrimental effect. Sorry, lost my way there for just a second. So in a continuous effort to be transparent, we are here today. Promises made early on. Family to see the video before that was released. 2, is the investigation protected up through the interview as far as we were concerned. We did both of those things and we stand here before you about to release it. But before I set up the video, and I will, I'm going to ask our Regional Director of DPS up for a few comments. Jeremy Sherrod.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Sherrod. I am the Regional Director for the Texas Department of Public Safety here in North Texas. First off, thank you for being here. First and foremost, the circumstances surrounding the death of Anthony Johnson are being independently investigated by the Texas Department of Public Safety, specifically the Texas Ranger Division. Now, they're conducting a comprehensive and unbiased investigation of the custodial death of Anthony Johnson while he was in the custody of the Tarrant County Jail. Now, this is an open investigation, and it's going to take time to complete. There are still a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle that we have to gather, and some of those are from independent sources. So we ask for your patience. When the investigation is complete, the facts will tell us everything. That being said, we do not comment on the status of open investigations. We wait until it's complete before we make a full statement. Now, make no mistake, if anybody is found of any wrongdoing, they will be held accountable. And I know that's something the sheriff, the community, and also the family expect. That is why, while we want to be transparent today with the investigation, we must also protect, again, I'm gonna emphasize this, we must protect the integrity of this investigation. Once the investigation is completed, it'll be referred to the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office. We extend our condolences to the family of Anthony Johnson. And just like the sheriff was talking about promises, we will come forward and update when this investigation is complete. It's important that we refrain from making any premature statements or speculations that could compromise the investigation. Having said that, I'm going to pass it on to Sheriff Lee.
Well, I want to reiterate is that, as I said before, if somebody is criminally wrong, just like Director Sherrod said, they're going to be held accountable. If they were done something administratively wrong, they were going to be held accountable. Two individuals that we terminated were being held accountable because they violated policy and it was below the standards of Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. And that would have been under any use of force circumstances where they displayed that. We are about to set up this, and once again, is that this video is a little over 5 minutes long. And one of the things I want you to notice is that this is a routine shakedown of jails. We're required to do that by jail standards, number one. And number two is we always want to prevent things that are smuggled into the jail because that often happens or attempts to be happening. So we were looking for contraband and other things that are not supposed to be in there. That was the mission that morning. And in the cell, where he was the only one there, where Mr. Johnson was, we did recover 2 pieces of contraband. There was a homemade shank, and there was also a razor that was not supposed to be there. So what you will see, if I can put some things in context before we play it, is that you will see that we're doing that. You'll see the bottom doors open in the pod. You will see things over to the right. There will be a lot of moving around. Medical is present on the bottom floor, and he is on the 2nd floor. And they go to his cell, they open the door, and tell him to come out. He steps back into his cell, not wanting to come out, but he does put on a jumper. And then he comes forward, and he kind of lunges at an officer and made a statement of some sort. Another officer saw this, believed it to be a threat, and got him and tried to pull him into that area on the tier. And then the fight began. And I say fight, it was a long fight, and you will see it. And you will see multiple officers attempting to control him without success. In fact, the officers testified that he had superhuman strength. And you'll see officers moving around. Then you will see him break away from them and grab a hold of a rail. He's on the 2nd tier. One of the fear is he going to jump over? Is he going to push somebody else over? It was a very dangerous situation. He was pepper sprayed because nothing else was working, but it seemed to have no effect. And they finally wrestled Mr. Johnson off of that rail and onto the ground. And he was finally successfully handcuffed after about 2 or 3 minutes of fighting. And then Lieutenant Garcia took over and gave some commands. And some of those commands was hold him here until we get leg irons. You will hear that. And that is when Officer Marino thought it was appropriate to put his knee in his back. Now, Officer Marino was grabbed a hold of the rail. He was on his toes so that he tried not to put all of his weight on it. After that, a little bit of portion is that when he stood up after about 90 seconds, is that Mr. Johnson was non-responsive. I'm not here to say he was dead, but I'm saying that he was non-responsive at that point. He was moved downstairs and into a chair, a security chair, and over to medical, where they started CPR after that. And that part is not in there because we don't put non-responsive people on film. So that's the setup, and that's where we're at. So let's watch the film, and then we will try to answer the questions as best we can. Again, thank you for being here, and we know the community is interested in this, and in law enforcement, is, again, this is a traumatic situation. Our heart breaks for the family, and we are grieving alongside of them, not at their position, and we know that, but it's still, I guarantee you, there's grieving going on over there at Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. All right, I'm gonna ask that to be played now. Do we need to turn down the lights or anything, or are we ready to go? All right.
Upstairs. Simmons, get you out. Check out. Go that way. No good? Your restraints on?
We got leg iron.
Moody, come on. Leave him there till we get leg irons. Leave him there till we get leg irons. Come here, who did? Oh, wow.
He leave. I'm not sure.
Get leg irons.
Check Simmons out, please.
Caldwell, check out. You didn't get checked?
bring him down to you.
We're bringing him down to you, Don. We'll bring him down to you.
That's 28.
That's 28 cells.
Merle, you gave me a single cell?
Need a single cell, some leg iron. Some leg iron.
Good.
Right, you saw there, those were two videos. The videos when they were originally in the fight, and then once he was down on the ground, second video came in at that same time. Those two videos were put together. We're going to take some questions from Sheriff Waybourn and from the director. Please understand some questions will go to the director and some will go to Sheriff Waybourn, depending on what you're asking.
Sheriff, do you mind walking us through, obviously there were officers involved who have not been fired.
Right.
Can you point out in the video who the two officers are so we know, differentiate in our reporting what's what?
Okay, we will try to do that. The lieutenant has the iPhone. He's behind the iPhone. You could hear, get a housing, get this, get that. That was him. The other officer, if you remember, was the guy that knelt down on his back, is Rafael Moreno, who's been with us for 9 years. Joe Garcia has been with us for 24. Does that help?
Yeah.
Does that put it in connotation? And by the way, and I forgot to say this, forgive me, is that we've arranged to send a link to all of you folks, so you'll have this video.
And just to be clear, and you did clarify who Officer Moreno was, but the technique that he used, can you specify
Sure.
what that was that we saw on the video that's banned?
Is that we train people, and have trained for a long time, believe it or not, for years, is that you're arresting somebody, you're fighting them. It's okay to put a knee in the back until you get them restrained. Then what you do after that is immediately put them in the recovery position, immediately. And that didn't happen, and that was on Lieutenant Garcia. He should have done that. They never should have kept him supine. They should have got him up and got his legs forward and controlled it. He was still kicking on the ground. Officer said he was still he was kicking him. So he was still going. But you get him up, get him off that chest, and that's what he should have done. So once he's restrained, the knee should have never went on the back.
And am I correct in hearing him say, "I can't breathe"? Is
Yes.
that what we heard correctly? Okay.
Is there a cause of death yet?
Thank you for bringing that up. The medical examiner, and that's one of those pieces, has not ruled or determined any cause of death. That's yet to be done, and that's in the criminal side of things. I was looking at policy side of things.
Sheriff Waybourn, between the two terminated employees, there's over 30 years of experience.
Yes, sir,
Does
there
this
is.
mean that there's a training problem?
Well, I'm not prepared to say that. But listen to this, is that I'm for all the training we can get. And I am for defensive tactics. I'm for reviewing those things. But even in this situation, folks knew that that's not what they were supposed to do.
Sheriff, you said
Sure.
the technique
Hold
was
on.
in.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You described him as having superhuman strength.
Yes, sir.
Do you think he was on something?
Well, I think that is, listen, in the old days, that would have been called classical excited delirium. That term is not used anymore. But in my experience, people, and I'm not saying he is, because that toxicology is not bad, but he was also diagnosed schizophrenia. Remember, we had a mental health issue, and we need to find out where that came from.
So,
Hang on just a second, let me get him talking.
You said that technique is not trained and it is not encouraged. Is it specifically banned?
What we do, what our training is, what I have to say our training is that you can put the knee in the back until you place restraints on. And that's pretty much all law enforcement. Then you get off of them and you put them in the recovery. That's the whole training issue. We don't keep people supine.
So he already had restraints on when he put that knee in the back?
Yes, ma'am, that's what I'm saying.
He should never have put the knee in the back.
That is
without
correct.
restraint at all.
He had been handcuffed, and he was handcuffed, and the officer you saw pulled away was starting that handcuff procedure. But during the fight, that officer had lost his glasses, and unfortunately turned the pepper spray around the wrong way, and he sprayed himself. That's the reason, and he'd been in that fight a long time, so he was being pulled out because he was trying to get the second handcuff on and he couldn't see. So that's why they got him out of there, because he wasn't doing any good. But it's routine that when we have this group takedown, is those struggles continues as you bring other officers come in to relieve people, so that, because it's an exhausting event. That's an exhausting event. And the rail there had that was an incredibly dangerous position on that rail. Somebody could have went over that rail.
How long was it before he was treated by medical or seen by medical?
Medical was right there. They were downstairs, and that was part of the issue with Lieutenant Garcia. If you heard the tape, he said, "We will bring him down to you." He should have had them, he put him in recovery position, brought medical to him. They were right there.
How long did it take them to get to him after how long did it take for them to get him down to that?
I don't know exactly how many minutes, but it was delayed, and he was taken down, and they checked a pulse ox on him at the bottom of the stairs. There was a pulse ox there, and then they took him over to medical, and that's where he crashed, and they started working him there, and then taking him to JPS where he passed.
Has he had a history of behaving like this when he's been jailed? Because he has a criminal record, so I'm just curious.
He has a criminal record, and he has a long history of criminal activity. He also has he has been in custody before, and this whole event started in Saginaw, where he was out in the middle of the traffic welding a knife. And he has been.
When he was previously in custody, has there been problems with jailers or officers that you're aware of?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Were there any special considerations to the fact that he was experiencing a schizophrenic episode, at least according to his family?
Right, and that's something that they have said, is that officers, when they were pulling all those inmates out, they were putting them down there, and all the bottom floors were empty and all that. They were up there dealing with him, and then when he was right there in their face, refusing to do what they had to do, and that's when the struggle ensued.
All right, we'll take a couple more
Sheriff,
questions.
so
Do you have any
are you
questions
aware-
for Director Sherrod?
Sheriff, are you
Okay,
aware if
couple
these two
more.
officers are involved in any other incidents where the use of force may have come into question?
I don't believe that it has occurred.
Okay, one more question?
And sir, so as you said, I believe Lieutenant Garcia was the one who took the video. Is it normal for jailers to take iPhone videos of fights in the jail?
Yes, it's normal to what we have is iPro, am I saying that right? GoPro cameras, and for some reason that didn't come in, and Lieutenant Garcia thought he would record it on his county iPhone.
Understood. So if there's like an altercation or something, you're supposed to turn on a GoPro. He was improvising.
Right, and they tried to get it there.
Is that a complete cell phone video?
Pardon? Thank you all for being here. We grieve for that family, and we grieve for law enforcement. Thank you.